Everyone knows the old tale, a poor fisherman, a magical golden fish, and a wife whose greed never ceased. But today, let us turn the page. The morning wind whistled through the torn roof of his hut as dawn broke, and a new question arose: what if the fisherman never told his wife? What if he kept the wishes for himself? Would he rise from rags to glory, or stumble from humble longing into the sea of ambition? Morning mist cloaked the sea. The camera followed the old man's calloused hands as he cast his net. Waves slammed against the rocks, wind whistling. He hauled the net, heavy and straining. His heartbeat quickened. Then, a glimmer. The golden fish emerged, scales blazing like molten sunlight. Time slowed. Its mouth opened, voice resonating like a distant harp: "Spare me, and I shall grant you wishes." The old man staggered back, breath shallow, torn between fear and awe, unable to believe what his senses told him. The old man stood frozen, heart racing. In his mind flashed the leaking hut, the thin porridge, his wife's scowling face twisted by hardship. He nearly ran to share the miracle, but his feet seemed glued to the sand. The sea roared, the wind whipped, as if urging him to choose. And for the first time, another thought arose: what if I keep this for myself? He looked into the golden fish's eyes, and inside him stirred a fear mixed with an intoxicating thrill he had never known. The old man trembled, eyes still fixed on the golden fish. He dared not ask for grandeur. Instead, he whispered, "I wish for a warm coat." Instantly, from thin air, a cloak appeared, draping over his frail shoulders. The thick fabric embraced his body long accustomed to the cold. He shivered, not from chill but from disbelief. His rough hand traced the seams, each stitch firm as if woven by magic itself. A laugh escaped him, soft, bewildered, like that of a child who touches a miracle for the very first time. The fisherman walked along the shore, cold sand sifting between his toes, the wind stinging his face. Yet for the first time in years, he did not shiver. Warmth seeped from the cloak, as if kindling a heart long numbed by poverty. He laughed aloud, so strange a sound that it startled even him. When had he forgotten that he could still smile? The sea remained the same, the waves still foamed white, yet to his eyes the world seemed a little brighter, a little gentler. He realized, to care for oneself was also a form of happiness. That night, rain lashed the hut, each drop dripping through holes in the roof. The fisherman curled in the darkness, his new coat soaked beneath the leaking ceiling. He gazed around the sagging hut, heart heavy. Then he whispered, "I wish for a small, sturdy home." By morning, where the shack once leaned, a modest wooden cottage stood. Windows shut tight, roof sealed firm, walls fragrant with fresh pine. His wife gaped in shock, questions spilling from her lips. He only smiled and murmured, "The sea changes things." In his eyes glimmered a secret, one that, for the first time, belonged to him alone. In the days that followed, his wife's eyes lingered on him, sharp with suspicion. A house could not simply fall from the sky, she thought. But the old man only smiled quietly, sidestepping her questions. Each dawn he found excuses to walk to the sea, sitting on the sand as waves crashed. Within him, a secret sprouted, growing like a seed in rain. For the first time, he felt he had a world of his own, untouched, inviolate. That secret was sweet, yet perilous, like wine fermenting in the heart. One morning, when his aged hands shook too much to tie the fishing net, he lifted his gaze to the sea. Breath ragged, legs weary, he whispered, "I wish for strength." At once, vigor surged through him, fire racing through his veins. His legs steadied, his arms grew firm, as if youth itself had returned. He spread his arms wide, drawing in the briny air, feeling time roll backward. The waves thundered, and his laughter rang out, bold and free, blending with the eternal voice of the ocean. As strength coursed through him, the old man turned to the golden fish gliding in the surf. His voice trembled, caught between eagerness and fear. "Are 3 wishes, truly all?" The fish tilted, its scales shimmering like countless stars reflected in the sea. It smiled, voice resonant as music rising from the deep, "As long as you desire, I shall grant. The limit lies not in me, but in you." The fisherman froze, eyes igniting with wonder, as though a door to an endless treasury had been flung open. The waves rolled as ever, yet within him, each ripple swelled into a storm of yearning. A new door had opened, and it could lead him to boundless joy, or into an abyss without end. At first, the fisherman dared ask only for the simplest things. He wished for a small garden beside his new house. By morning, rows of fresh vegetables sprouted, leaves swaying in the breeze. Then he wished for a warm meal, grilled fish, bread fresh from the oven, and the air filled with fragrance. Another time, he asked for a sturdy pair of shoes, so his feet would no longer ache on the rocky sand. Each wish, no matter how small, appeared instantly, as effortless as the sea breeze. He burst into laughter, gleeful as a child who has just discovered magic. Poverty, which had seemed his eternal companion, suddenly vanished, replaced by tiny joys so real they almost felt unreal. In the days that followed, the fisherman began to wish more often. One morning he asked for a new boat, gleaming and sturdy, so he could sail without fear of storms. That afternoon, he wished for a pouch of gold, enough to earn respectful glances in the village market. On another day, he wished for friends to visit, to share wine and laughter by his hearth. Joy grew larger with each wish, and he grew accustomed to a world that bent at his command. Within him an undertow stirred, a satisfaction mixed with hunger, swelling larger and larger, like the sea forever reaching for the shore. His wife soon noticed the changes. She saw wealth gathering around them, but her husband grew distant, secretive. Where did the money come from? The house? That new boat, she pressed. The old man only smiled faintly, evading, never letting her touch that hidden world. Once, he had feared her scolding gaze, now, he felt no need to care. Between them an invisible gulf opened, widening like the tide. His wife felt abandoned in the very house that was meant to shelter them, while he reveled in his new joy, a world that belonged only to him and the golden fish. One day, the fisherman stood before the sea and thought no longer of small things. He wished for a seaside mansion with white stone walls, red-tiled roof, and gates carved with ornate detail. He asked for silken robes and chests brimming with gold. He wished for visitors from afar to bow low, calling him Lord. And within a single night, it all appeared. The mansion gleamed under the sun, silk shimmered on his shoulders, and voices of reverence filled his halls. Villagers whispered, "He has changed his fate." Yet in his dazzling eyes flickered a shadow, as though, on the path to power, he had left behind some vital part of himself. Night fell, and in his lavish chamber lined with bronze mirrors, the fisherman stood still, staring at his own reflection. In the glass he saw a man of dignity, silk shimmering, eyes blazing like torches. Yet the longer he gazed, the more he sensed a hollow coldness within those eyes. His smile warped, unfamiliar even to himself. He whispered, voice rough, "Am I any different from my wife back then?" The one who was greedy and never content. The question lingered unanswered, carried away by the wind that whistled through the window, leaving only the echo of doubt. The next morning, he returned to the sea. The golden fish rose from the blue waves, scales flashing brilliant light. It asked, its tone both gentle and insistent, "What else do you desire?" Waves pounded against the sand, their rhythm like drums demanding a response. The old man trembled as though the entire ocean demanded his answer. Ambition still surged within him, yet alongside it crept fear, the fear of being devoured by his own greed. That night, the old man walked alone to the shore. Behind him loomed the grand castle, glowing with lights, before him stretched the vast, dark, tranquil sea. The sea had never changed since the day he was born, only the human heart did. Within his chest, two currents clashed, tearing him apart, one part craving to keep it all, gold, power, respect, another longing for peace, like the old days when he mended nets on the sand. The night wind was biting, but colder still was the struggle within his soul. Standing before the waves, the old man fell to his knees, hands trembling, voice hoarse like the wind itself, "I wish for peace, no more desires to consume me." As the words left his lips, the wind stilled, the sea held its breath. He closed his eyes, tears streaming down to vanish into the sand. A decision had been made, the hardest of his life. In an instant, the grand castle behind him vanished like smoke, gold dissolved like sand slipping through fingers. The gleaming robes faded into simple cloth. Yet instead of despair, he felt his heart grow light. Before him remained only a small wooden house, a green garden, and the gentle sound of waves. He drew a deep breath, and a smile spread across his wrinkled face. For the first time in many years, he truly felt peace. The fisherman realized, the worth of a wish was never in treasure, power, or splendor, but in the moment one chooses to stop. The sea would never cease its waves, but humans must learn contentment. He sat upon the sand, listening to the rhythm of the surf, as though hearing his own heartbeat settle into calm once more. To the world, he was but a gentle old man living by the sea, casting nets like any other fisherman. They never knew he had walked the circle of ambition, touched wealth and power, and then surrendered it all to return to simple joy. In the crimson sunset, he sat mending his net, serenity upon his face. For sometimes, the greatest wish is no wish at all.